let's start.
Okay.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Grace. I am an SGA representative, and welcome for the fourth episode of our Career Hub. So for our fourth episode, the title is Go Up with Open Source. So for our agenda for today, so from 5 to 5:05, we will be having a little bit of introduction about SGA, and then I'm going to introduce our speaker tonight, or this afternoon, which is Sako Mammadov, and he's going to do his presentation, and then later on we'll have some Q&A if you have something to ask for him. So the Career Hub, its goals is to be able to get advice and learn from the speaker. And this is also a good opportunity to network with friends, classmates, and alumni. Our speaker today is an alumni of ITU, and he has been one of the, his project has been one of the best projects that we have during his term, and now with this new project, which is the GOUP, he's going to talk about it as well, and all of his open source projects. So yeah. So just for a brief introduction about SGA. SGA, or the Student Government Association, has a motto of the students, by the students, and for the students. This promotes student participation, helps provide solutions to various issues, and provides positive development of individuals. And this also wants to be able to connect current and prospective students as well as alumni, and be able to network professionally. So just to give you a brief introduction with our speaker. Like I said earlier, our speaker, Sako Mammadov, is an ITU alumni. In the past 12 years, Sako has worked in over 6 countries and did 3 masters in 3 different countries. Currently, he is working as the infrastructure security lead at OpenGov. He loves open source projects, DevOps, security, SaaS. He is a founder of 2 open source projects, which is the first one is Jobhax, which is a job applicant tracking system. And I believe Sako, this started in ITU, right? And the
Yeah.
And the other project Sako has right now is the GOUP. It is an open source accelerator with over 1,300 members.
1,700 now.
Sako, during his term, helped to architect the infrastructure for Metabob with other brilliant ITU alumni. So it is my honor and privilege to you to finally give the floor to our speaker, Sako Mammadov. So I will stop sharing so Sako can start his presentation.
Thank you, Grace. Appreciate for a nice introduction. So then, yeah, let's get started. I'm gonna use a Canva today. So is it fine? You can see my screen?
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Grace, again. And I am Sako, currently working in a company called OpenGov, which is leading ERP solution for the government. And besides from that, I helped ITU, again, another great alumnus, to architect the infrastructure side for the Metabob. It's currently raising seed round around 2 million. So it's really promising, one of the ITU bright students project, I would say. At the same time, I built or started while, as Grace mentioned, during the ITU, the GOUP, Jobhax, I'm going to mention about it, and a bit about also other projects, Meshery, Layer 5, and yeah, that's briefly about me. And let's go to presentation. So before that, I would like to give motivation for open source projects, why in general open source projects are cool stuff while you are in school. And because first of all, it's fun. It's start as a hobby usually for the most of the folks. They do because they really enjoy it. And then slowly it becomes your reputation, building like advertising marketing for you and your company. If you are looking to meet great people, or if you are switching your job, it always helps, I would say, in that sense. Even getting to some management position, because in open source, you end up working with a lot of people. And if you are being successful, it shows some leadership skills as well. So from other points, learn code in modern style. Obviously, your code getting reviewed by hundreds of people sometimes. And you get some new ideas from different background of people. Then it helps to reduce duplication effort. And so somebody created some open source project. Instead of starting from scratch, you can just take his project and with little tweaks or customization can use for your use case as well. Again, there is a great room for mentorship as well, and most of the hot trends usually discuss best community, and so it's great way of know what's going on in the market. So contribution to the open source project, usually, and it's kind of accepted that you shouldn't think, oh, I don't have anything to share, or I don't have any value I can get out of it. No, there are not just about coding. So you can make your own project, and you can even do something like small. Yeah, you can do documentation update. You can submit small PR and small issue and get recognized, and even answering some other people question while they are having trouble to run a project. So contributing, it doesn't mean just you need to go and change something in the core of the project. Especially for a bigger project, it requires a lot of competence. And if you are a while in school, I assume that you have decently, slightly less experience. So if you can do that, don't be surprised, or don't be sad about it. Just go start small. And getting started, again, there are two directions you can go. I will talk about my own one, and because I was in hybrid, I did both, and I contributed to existing project where there are so many great people are running as a side or as a full-time, so you can join other people and help them, or you can just start your own, and which I end up starting at ITU 2 projects, and still I stick with them, even so it has been already 1 or 2 years I already graduated. So yeah, I will briefly talk in use case about that, but the point is, if you're making your own, obviously you need idea and you need time, and then you need people around you to convince, or you can go by yourself only, but then you will still need to build to know community around it in order to use, because if you have a great code but nobody's using it, it's no point to continue on that project. So so that's about how getting started. And let's say you decided to create your own project. That's great. So what you need to do, obviously the GitHub, you should at least hear about it in some or other way around if you are ITU student. And once you create your own repo in GitHub or GitLab in other ones, you need to add some documentation around it, what you are trying to do. Even there are some repositories without any code. It's purely for documentation. So you should at least write your idea, what you're trying to do, and maybe initial code, and then some test around it. And once you have all this in place, you should just start hiring, let the people know about it. And you shouldn't, one of the advice is, don't give full access to your repo, because even so people looks nice, sometimes you should consider about also security as well, because with permission stuff, overnight it can be deleted. Obviously, you need always back up your repository or your work and so on, whatever you have in place, but still it's a good practice advice. So, okay, now let's say you have your code in GitHub and you have some people around you, you think that you can go and let others know about it. What you're gonna do? So here are a couple places you can go and post it out, and Reddit, and one of the biggest one where most of the, or some projects, I would say, got on top of the subreddit. You heard about even recently regarding the stock market, how one subreddit was powerful enough. So these things you need to give a try. And obviously you can also join our community in Slack. We have a GOUP, as mentioned earlier, 1,700 over people all over the world. And you can tell us about the project and get initial stars, contributors, or users from the community. So it's still in early stage, but you will get for sure some results or some visibility at least. So, and let's move. So now you let the world know you already have something in place to show, and what's next? Now you need to scale it. And for scaling, what it means, scaling means team or the people around you, or you can call it them friends or core contributors who will help you for things, because it takes efforts to build a project, to maintain it, and with your full-time job, it may be hard to get that time. So definitely you need at least one or two core people who will help you here and there to maintain. If you want to scale project, yeah, you always don't want to build on your own and just keep building it, because that's not about open source. It's open source, the key is collaboration. So we're gonna talk about team, the process and tooling around when you are building open source project, and then you need a community. Community in this case means people who are gonna use it, who are gonna contribute to it, or just gonna comment, watch it. So basically anything using, like customer can be potentially user, anybody who will be just around the core team. So let's talk about the process and tooling. Here is some experiences from the GOUP case. So we usually do events like SJ is doing, and in this case, we say pre-event, during event, post-event. For example, the upcoming one we have, actually it's also in open source. One of the great guys gonna speak about it, and we have right now over 422 signups. So, and with Zoom 300 limits, we will see how we're gonna fit. But that's for that kind of scale event, what we do. We have a community manager, and we have the tools in place. All our community, we invite them to the Slack, GitHub, all the data most of the data we store there. You can see the Canva for these kind of amazing interactive presentations we use. Vimeo we use for the videos. We post it in all over the places: Meetup, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, obviously Zoom for meetings, and Google, like email and so on, and these kind of products. So we moved away from the Google Slides to Canva because of the beauty side of the Canva. I think it's gonna take over eventually as well. Obviously, yeah, it's a paid account. It gives you more, but yeah, that's kind of main tooling you need usually when you start your own open source project. And obviously, events to do are optional. You can start doing at some point. Events are more to bring in more people to know about the project and so on, because it's easy access to community. Once they come, they learn about stuff, and then they can stay around and contribute. So you don't go ask directly people to come and contribute. So you need kind of events, and you bring some industry leaders, and when they come, they also bring some of their community members, and that's how you build your own community. So that's about a bit process and tooling. And regarding grow the team, and I think it's open source is not typical company, or you basically stuff that you used to see in the company. It doesn't work in open source way of doing work. Yeah, you still do the work, it's the same, but the work style is different because people doesn't have extrinsic motivation, like they're not getting paid. So they should keep enjoying it. And if they don't, they will just leave. And usually the churn rate is high in open source projects. So how you grow the team? So when you bring the people, based on what you evaluate the people. So the complexity or maturity of the project, they can deliver, because if they deliver, obviously they had in past experience, probably they will contribute more, and you can get more help from solid engineering background people. So short-term small wins, you don't need to think big in open source. You just need to, yes, you can think big once in a while, but you need to be able to narrow down and make it small steps and share with community or with your team in order them go and keep motivated doing it. Because if it requires from initially big time commitment, and most of the people will hesitate if they still go with you or project. And context over control, in open source, there is no like management style. You go to people and ask what's update. So no, it doesn't work. So you just give them context and expect them to do it. And if they don't do it, you just go and remind or kindly ask, but you don't go really kind of in sad phase and asking for update. No, it doesn't work. So build, operate, delegate. This is kind of things once you build your project. If you want to scale and go faster, you need more people, obviously, and you shouldn't be bottleneck. You need to delegate to the people some tasks. So that's why you need always develop this delegation skills. Results over activity. Obviously, there could be people doing a bunch of stuff, but if they are not adding or creating value or result, probably you shouldn't waste time on them as well. So independence and execution, another point where they need as much as independence, because less independence, it will take more your time. So that's really key. And being predictable and accountable, obviously, you need to know when the people commit to something and when should you really expect, because there could be sometimes that dependency from team members, and you need to find the people who are predictable, and you can always go back and check out, not just fluctuating performance. So that's a couple things. And grow process and tooling, I guess, especially working with community, I could frequently see that in order to go with free tooling and so on, they spend a lot of time. I think you need to consider also the amount of time you are putting in project. And if there is any SaaS tool that you will end up paying $10 per month, probably you shouldn't waste that much time. So, and that's, I will say, and look around what are other communities doing, and what are the way are doing, and just learning, not just do your own thing, and write down everything. That will help you over time to go back and compare and make some analysis and come up with something working, and find stuff that you may not be aware of. So, and measure everything. Obviously, measuring is key, and measuring means working with numbers, and especially in your team case or community case, or whatever you call it, bringing them to the numbers are good always. And train the team. Yeah, if you have the junior team joining, mostly in, I guess, in school case gonna be, and give them training, show them paths, and maybe they won't be able to contribute anything now, but in 3-6 months, eventually they will get there. I have seen enough people coming with very, let's say, very not solid computer science background, I would say, but their growth speed was good enough, and they were able to pick up and contribute to the project in short term. And obviously, ask always feedback, your community, your team, and try to learn from the feedback. Not all the feedbacks are you should take into account, because sometimes they also mislead you. So just also be conscious about that before saying yes or no. And yeah, that's about it. And I think I'm gonna briefly talk how we are doing with timing. Looks good. And I'm gonna talk about my open source use cases, because everything looks good on the books, but when it comes, it has own challenges. For me, how it started, I started when I came to US in 2017. I started with Nginx. There's a company, and it's open source. And I was just getting paid for work on open source project, and that's how I started. And I had a great mentors or team members where we were building a project. And I was going Meetup, and it was company inside the company. You need to try to solve, because it's open source project inside the company. It means you need to own it. There is nobody gonna come and do marketing for that. Yes, there is some level of help, but as a developer, you need to go and talk about it in conferences and meetups and kind of sell the people, because once people start using it, then company will be motivated more investing on the project. Otherwise, if you keep developing, nobody use it, at some point company will see it as low return on investment, and they may shut down it. So, which happened actually in this case as well. So, but there were other reasons. It was company needed heavy investment, which I think wasn't that right decision at that point. So, and so yeah, let's talk a bit about the GOUP. GOUP actually currently in a growth stage, I will say, still figuring out how to do stuff. But for current education system, the challenges or the previously benefits was, I think, are getting challenged a lot, especially with pandemic. One is professors. Now there are so many online instructors or working professionals doing mentorship, which wasn't the case before. So it's kind of touching, or it's a shared zone, I would say, with university professor, because now you don't need PhD to teach, yeah, and people realize it, and they just go and learn from somebody working in top companies and who build an open source project even. So that's kind of, I think university is going to need to address more. That's why I put it as maybe become as open source organization, because universities who will be able to make a on-time decision will be able to stay, but other universities, I guess they will have a struggle to finding more students moving forward, because as I said, degrees companies less and less require. We see this as a trend, and for the network, if you can make friends without going to school, probably that's another thing that some people were saying, oh, I need, I can make classmates, and then I can build my network in top schools or MBAs and then go to other stuff. So that's also getting challenged. Obviously, content, it's now so many things online, from MIT, Stanford, all these universities putting their classes online, free available. So it's coming to the question that other universities, how they're gonna attract the talents, because that's especially becoming more and more case for non-US, I would say, universities, because not being in US and plus the not having that access to the talent, professors and so on, it's going to be a bit challenging. But again, with immigration, we see more remote jobs. Now most of the companies switching to hybrid mode at least, or fully to remote, which makes sense. And moving forward, it means some, yes, after pandemic, I would say that some companies will go fully back probably, but still it's gonna stay there, that some people or some companies as well, they will continue remote jobs, which means you can be basically anywhere in the world as long as you can work in that time zone and you won't complain. So yeah, that's why I think open source is one of the solution for universities to invest at this stage. And in GOUP case, and we have 3 main directions. We do also events like I joined now, and we have as a networking event formats, we call them like Zero to Hero, Tech Brains, and KissConf, like Keep It Stupid Simple Conference. We have like this event format at this point we continuously do just to grow the community itself. And we have 2 other projects we haven't launched, but we have ongoing, which is pipeline, like performance improvement plan line, where we bring junior people and give them customized training plan based on their interest. So we kind of giving the menu and the right people they can connect, and then they pick and they kind of put time and improve, because there is a minimum bar. You need to start with open source project, so at least you need to understand a couple basic things. And yeah, and then if you have your own idea, all this stuff, you can go and create your own. We help them as open source accelerator. Once you are in a stage that you feel ready, you have idea, and we help you build community around it with process and tooling setup, building your network for initial team hiring and so on. So, but as a base for all this community, I think that's the main thing is a culture, right? Culture, people is okay. You can teach the skills, but the culture is a bit hard. So that's kind of one of the strongly required things. Even if you are the latest, greatest engineer, if you come and don't respect others, and probably you will be eliminated by from the community without any questions. So that's the kind of key. And obviously data, when we store, we for the data, we call it structured and indexed, means easy to find, easy to understand, because if you're working in scale with thousands of people, you need to be clear on them. So if you just put random data and nobody understands, it won't add value. It will create ambiguity and confusion. So diversity is true equality. Doesn't matter which background you are coming, which school, whatever your age or gender, you should. It shouldn't add any value. It doesn't make you blessed in the community. So that's kind of key for us in the GOUP. And I think, yeah, that's another third project which started in ITU. I can talk day long about this project because it took 2 years. I will just highlight a couple points. It was also open source. That's how when I joined ITU, was going through all this job application process, and I found I was lazy to write down and track all this stuff. So that's how idea come. And I had that time housemate Suhas, who was working at that time in Google. He moved to Facebook. But yeah, we were discussing it, and then we built a team, fully ITU students, and we started doing as a class project. That's how we made it, and we built a nice product. And I think Egemen said at that time, our engineers were also get some internships, thanks to SGA funded the project, and the ITU was using it for in-campus job applications. So I think that's how there was like 3 semesters plus capstone, 4th semester in total. Each semester was building different people coming together and working on different parts of the project. And then in the end, after the capstone, it was a final suite or platform with with 2 products like ATS, GTS, calling job tracking system and applicant tracking system. So organization could post a job and applicant could track a job. So how it was making difference, because you don't need to do manual inputs. You could just log into your Gmail account and it will pull all the data and show you in a nice dashboard all the jobs you applied. So that was amazing experience. That's on top of that, actually, the GOUP, the experiences using in Jobhax was applied. And I think Jobhax started in 2018, September, as soon as I joined to ITU, but GOUP started in 2019, June. So there was a bit of time, but definitely the experiences learned in Jobhax in ITU community was initial kind of base for the GOUP community itself. So, and some other external example I just put here. I also contributed to some other projects. So I was lucky to get mentored and work with Lee Calcutta. Is one of the really big names in open source community project. He built amazing community and product. And I think in 4 to 6 months, he will also will run it as a company. And that was great. And I still talk to him, and I really enjoyed this layer 5 community. And I think that was one of the external other projects. So if it's not your own, but if you want to contribute, and you can just go join the community, go to the meetings. Usually they have community meetings, and get to know, and that's a great experience. And as a wrap up, I think how we are doing with time looks perfectly on time. And yeah, I think if you want to talk to me more or ask questions, anything, please just research, because if you can find in Google, probably doesn't make sense to waste my or your time. Be short and clear. And sometimes because I am getting a lot from all over the places, usually the community and so on, and I usually forget to get back. So if I didn't get back to you in a week, just please remind me. I will try. And yeah, and let's say, yeah, and you can always go join GOUP Slack and as well ask the community there, because you can get my perspective. But if there is nothing privately related, probably it's better to hear from a couple more people. So in this case, please write down in Slack, and I will be always happy to support you. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for having me. Again, the takeaway, if you wanna just learn about or keep in your mind, the culture is key, diversity is key, and open source is gonna be the game changer. So that's what I think. That's why once ITU reached me, I decided to speak on that, because I see what is coming, as it's my prediction, and I think schools and students at this stage should invest and at least check out. So thank you.
Thank you, Sako, for that wonderful presentation. Maybe we can open for questions. If you have questions, Munal, for Sako.
Yeah, I have a quick question.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you for the amazing presentation. I know a lot out of your presentation. So my quick question for what are the new trends in the open source currently? So we have to focus on particular one trend or one language or projects or something?
So actually, yeah, that's a good question. So I would say usually it's not language specific, because in most of the languages that are open source project related, and I think first you need to find the people that you as a role model. Yeah, like you wanna look at the mentors list, for example, in SNCF project, and pick from there, and then you can adjust, because the languages thing, and obviously the problem you're trying to solve, what excites you. Yeah, for example, Jobhax was in recruitment. That's how I started, or because layer 5 wasn't DevOps related, I was enjoying doing DevOps infrastructure. So identify the domain, I will say first, and the problem excites you to solve where using your strengths is. And then the person or the people in that domain has open source project. And then I think you can still check you would like, obviously you need also to see if the project is growing, yeah, and you need to look at factors. And usually the people you admire, probably they have something ongoing. So you need, sometimes the projects are backed by companies, yeah. For example, if you're trying to get job in Google, probably you need also check the company maintaining that project. For example, Kubernetes backed by Google. That will help you as well if you go to interview, talk about that your contribution. So I think identify what your goal first, what you're trying to do. Are you trying to get a job? Are you trying to solve a problem? Or are you trying to make a friend? And then based on, once you have this question, I think the language, all this stuff should come after. And that is always, as I said, from Google, they have in pretty much in any language the project they can do. But yes, you shouldn't go to PHP or some languages, which is kind of, you should also check the job market or trends in general for the languages. But usually the language is use case specific. So JavaScript, for example, could be interesting for some web application, but data scientist stuff, you may have like Python, or for some infrastructure tooling, you may need to go or Rust, high performance language. So that's also depends. You can't say one language over another. So by asking all these questions, I think you will have a decent idea what you want to do next. And in case I can follow up and I can help you as well if you need anything.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
In this group, if we join the community, is it free?
Yeah, completely. It's open source and completely free. And I can show, and I think we have, let me show you. Actually, I can add, yeah. So there is a community Slack. You can see people coming. We have community coming around 1700. Community manager, CL means community leader. And we have just people coming, introducing themselves, you know, and because of the event, I think we have over 400 signups for tomorrow. It's going to be one of the, in past 2 years, the biggest one. We didn't have that in experience. We had over 100, but not over 400. So it's really interesting. People just coming, you see, and they're introducing the project. And we have, as a follow-up day, we have another AI-related webinar, again, in collaboration with Metabob, another ITU folks, funded by. So yeah, that's usually community. It's, yeah, I can just also post in the copy and widely. I can put in the chat. You can just come and introduce. So it's really amazing to see so many great people all over the world. I think I also posted here, for example. So, and we have another founder there posting in different events. So, and yeah, and regarding the Jobhax, I guess if you want to see what we have been through, I think probably it can be about us page. And we have all these pictures here. All ITU students, we have had the time that together so that's about us. But then I can quickly also demo, if you have the time. The Jobhax, it was a while, but let's try. For example, you just sign in with your email, and boom, it's all the UI and everything, so you can just see all the companies, and for example, you can just move around and different stages. You can see the metrics. I think for ITU we had, so I think if you are running for the ITU, I think right now there was 239 total users, and I think that's a number of total jobs applied. Based on that, we were doing some aggregation. Top companies applied, and a peak season we find that was, yeah, I don't know. It's probably, we still need to look it does, but then yeah, that's in April usually looks, because summer is coming, internship and so on, more people looking for jobs. So that's a tool we built over 2 years, and I think that was really amazing experience. The company's jobs, for example, ITU was pushing here, and then you could just go and apply with your resume, and we could just parse your LinkedIn and do all this stuff. So pretty decent project for as a school project, I would say. And there was a value, and students were using it at that time. Still, some friends who applies go through and use it, and it cost me around $50, I think, but it's per month for cloud running, but I think it's worth it. So, and yeah, that should be it.
All right, thank you for that wonderful presentation and for answering all our questions, and just having this very good presentation about open source in your projects, especially the GOUP. And we really value your participation in really helping ITU students and mentoring them with this episode of Career Hub. So thank you very much, Sako.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, and I hope and you will join to the community, and please feel free also to post there whenever you do event. And yeah, it will be a pleasure. So thank you so much, and
Thank you.
have a nice weekend, I guess.
You too.
Yes, you too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
you.
Sako.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.